Look who I found down the red rabbit hole. It's an F. Loads of you asked me to check this one out in my comments, so here we go. I don't know anything about an F, so let me know in the comments the key points that I need to know. I do have a bit of an idea of what this song is about because you lovely lot love to share your thoughts and your comments with me. And from what you've said, then this track sounds like it's right up my street. Let's get this out of the way. I'm going to be pausing, I'm going to be talking. If you want to see someone watch the whole track in one go, then I'm afraid that is not going to be me. I'm sure you can find that on other channels. We all have different ways of doing this, and this is just how I like to do it. If you are new here, then my name's Stuart. I'm a psychotherapist. I specialise in trauma, and this channel isn't all about reactions, but I'm absolutely loving this way of talking around mental health and in particular trauma. So I'm going to do some more. Right, enough talk. Let's get into this.
Insidious as blind inception. What's reality with all these questions? Feels like I missed my alarm and slept in. Broken legs, but I chase perfection. These walls are my blank expression. My mind is a home I'm trapped in, and it's lonely inside this mansion.
Yo, my mind is a house with walls, covered in lyrics, they're all over the place. And songs in the mirrors, written all over the floors, all over the chairs. And you get the uncut version of life when I go downstairs. That's where I write when I'm in a bad place and need to release, and let out the version of NF you don't want to see. I put holes in the walls with both of my fists till they bleed. You might get a glimpse of how I cope with all this anger in me. Physically abused, now that's the room that...
Oh, so NF's not messing around here, getting straight in there with being physically abused. Thought it was going to be a little bit more subtle than this, but obviously not. Let me know if you know the backstory to this in the comments. Looks like his mansion then is his mind with lots of different rooms and spaces in it, and probably being an artist, he has lyrics stored all over the place in his mind of all different experiences that have happened to him. And his downstairs, I wonder if that's basement level for him. I would call downstairs the ground floor, but I'm guessing in America, most of the houses have basements. Is that right? But down there, down in the basement, you're getting the uncut version, the unedited version, the everything and nothing left out version of NF. And I notice he says that's the NF he doesn't want you to see. And it sounds like he's coping with things by punching the walls. Is this what he doesn't want us to see? He doesn't want us to see how he's not really coping with things. I mean, I work with loads of people who manage emotions by punching things, punching holes in walls and in doors, you know, to get rid of that built up internal pressure, those build up of emotions. It's completely understandable. I mean, it has to go somewhere. You can't just leave it all inside.
You might get a glimpse of how I cope with all this anger in me. Physically abused, now that's the room that I don't want to be in. That picture ain't blurry at all, I just don't want to see it. And these walls ain't blank, I just think I don't want to see them. But why not? I'm in here, so I might as well read them. I gotta thank you for this anger that I carry around. Wish I could take a match and burn this whole room to the ground. Matter of fact, I think I'ma burn this room right now. Somehow this memory for some reason just won't go down. Put me in the corner so you can see the fear in my...
Very common experience that NF is describing here, I think. It's essentially avoidance of the memories, of, you know, the memories of what's happened to him. And who would blame him? Who would blame anyone for not wanting to recall these sort of memories? Why would you want to? They're so horrendous. It makes so much sense to try and not re-experience them. But having said that, what we often find is that the brain has its way of bringing them back to your attention to try and process and make sense of what has happened, and in great detail too. As NF says, the pictures aren't blurry. And what often happens is people get stuck in this loop of pushing the memories away when they come, or distracting themselves, or using substances, or avoiding people and places, you know, to keep those horrendous thoughts and images and memories away. But the brain tries again later to bring them back to your attention and back to your awareness, and you get stuck in this loop. No wonder NF wishes he could burn the whole room to the ground, just flatten it and get rid of it. So it's not there anymore. Now, because I can already sense there's going to be people in the comments talking about their experiences with processing, and perhaps those experiences have been really poor. There are many ways to process trauma. They don't all require someone to talk about their trauma and relive it over and over and over and over again with a therapist. In fact, there's ways where the person doesn't even have to tell the therapist what has happened to them in the past. Plus, if you don't want to process, then that's fine too. A therapist should never be making someone process memories when they don't want to. If they don't feel safe enough or they don't want to go there, that's fine. There's plenty of other things that can be really helpful for that person. And I wonder if in some way this song is NF's way of processing. Not sure if he's ever had any help from a therapist or if he's naturally gravitated towards using his music as a way to do this. But what he is saying and doing here makes so much sense from my perspective.
For some reason just moved. You used to put me in the corner so you could see the fear in my eyes. Then took me downstairs and beat me till I screamed and I cried. Congratulations, you'll always have a room in my mind, but I'ma keep the door shut and lock the lyrics inside.
Insidious as blind inception. What's reality with all these questions? Feels like I missed my alarm and slept in. Broken legs, but I chase perfection.
Just wanted to quickly touch on the end of that verse. Congratulations, you'll always be a room in my mind. What you have done to me was so terrible, I will never forget it. It will always be a part of me. Then the next line was, this one. I'm going to keep the door shut and lock the lyrics inside. And I'm not quite sure if he means he's not going to think about it in the sense of a trauma memory of what I was talking about before, he's going to avoid it. Or if he means this in the sense of, you did that thing to me, you put me through that, but I'm not going to let that get in the way of me living. And I think that's probably what the chorus is getting at too. Broken legs while I chase perfection. I'm still going to move on with my life. Chase the life I want despite these terrible things you have done to me.
In my mind, but I'ma keep the door shut and lock the lyrics inside.
Insidious as blind inception. What's reality with all these questions? Feels like I missed my alarm and slept in. Broken legs, but I chase perfection. These walls are my blank expression. My mind is a home I'm trapped in, and it's lonely inside this mansion. Inside this mansion.
Yo, my mind is a house with walls covered in pain. See, my problem is I don't fix things, I just try to repaint. Cover them up like it never happened. Say I wish I could change. Are you confused? Come upstairs and I'll show you what I mean. This room's full of regrets, just keeps getting fuller it seems. Moment I walk into, it's the same moment that I wanna leave. I get sick to my stomach every time I look at these things, but it's hard to look past when this is the room where
I don't fix things, I just repaint them and cover them up. Yes, and I wonder if this relates back to right at the beginning of the song when he was saying, downstairs you can see the real NF, but up here, up on the ground floor and the other floors, to everybody else, you just see a covered up version. A version of NF where the wounds have been painted over so no one can see them, but they're still there, they're still underneath, they're still painful, they're still hurting. And again, that's totally understandable behavior. Why would you, given his experiences of what he's described, why would you want to let people see how vulnerable you are and how much you have been hurt?
stomach every time I look at these things, but it's hard to look past when this is the room where I sleep. I look around, one of the worst things
I don't know what's happened to his mum. I don't know the backstory about this. I'm guessing his mum died, and it seems like he either didn't talk to her much or he didn't get to say goodbye because he says he wish he would have called, and he's really regretting that. In fact, he's regretting it so much that he doesn't want to talk about it anymore in this song. And when we think he's talked pretty openly about his abuse earlier, he's drawing the line here about his mum, and that hit him hard. I mean, I know that's probably stating the obvious here, but that sort of regret, that type of regret when you can't go back and change something that you did do or something that you didn't do, especially when that person is gone, it's just so painful and it's so difficult to overcome.
And I regret the fact that I struggle trying to find who I am. And I lie to myself and say I do the best that I can. Shrug it off like it ain't nothing, like it's out of my hands. And get ticked off whenever I see it affecting my plans. And I regret watching these trust issues eat me alive. And at the rate I'm going, I'll probably still be there when I die. Congratulations, you'll always have a room in my mind. The question is, will I ever clean the walls off in time? Oof.
Insidious as blind inception. What's reality with all these questions? Feels like I missed my alarm.
So just a bit of a relatively geeky psychology perspective here. And I'm not sure how young NF was when this happened to him, but children who have been abused, well, not all of them, but some of them do have difficulty with this idea of self-concept and identity development. And in fact, it's one of the 7 domains of developmental trauma. So it's one of 7 changes that happens to someone who's been through this. And that makes sense. We learn about ourselves and our self-worth early on in life through our parents or our grandparents if they're looking after us, or through our primary caregivers. So if we get the message we are not worth keeping safe, because we're being abused, then our concept of self will reflect this. And that can end up with us having this narrative of ourselves that says there's something wrong with me, I'm bad, nobody wants me. It's horrible. No child should ever have to feel that. And NF, I think, touches upon one of the other domains when he talks about these trust issues, and these trust issues which are eating him alive. And I think this would probably fit within the attachment domain, the attachment and the relationships. And again, this makes sense. I'm sure that on one hand, he wants to trust people and have those trusting relationships where he can share and be himself. But on the other hand, there's this protective part of him, the part saying, remember what happened before, remember what happened with people who you should have been able to trust. They abused you, or they left you, they abandoned you. It's no wonder that his mind or his mansion has a room for this. It's part of him. It's part of his experience. And you can't completely get rid of that. When I think about it, there's probably going to be people in the comments who are going to say I'm coming across as quite uncompassionate in this one because I'm being quite analytical. And firstly, I'm not purposely being uncompassionate. I think it's terrible what NF has gone through, and no one should ever have to go through any of these things. But secondly, I'm being a little bit more analytic because what he is saying and what he is sharing is so accurate of what I have seen in other people. And I want to share that. I want to get that across, that this experience is quite typical. I want to try to normalize this a bit for people who have been through this and can relate to these words and to this song. And it's just so accurate as well in terms of what we know from the research about trauma and people's experience. And I just want to get that across. I'm not trying to analyze NF here because, I can't. I don't know him. I don't know anything about his backstory. I just know that the words that I'm being presented, but they just make so much sense, and they fit with kind of everything I know and everything I've seen and everything I've learned from people I've worked with. I mean, it's pretty good. Well, it's not good that he's been through this. It's probably one of the best tracks I've heard that describes the experience and what's going on. And I'm loving it, which feels weird to say because, you know, I would rather NF had not have gone through this and had to make this song. But the way he's presented this is amazing. Right.
Whenever I see it affecting my plans, and I regret watching these trust issues eat me alive. And at the rate I'm going, I'll probably still be there when I die. Congratulations, you'll always have a room in my mind. The question is, will I ever clean the walls off in time? Oof.
Insidious as blind inception. What's reality with all these questions? Feels like I missed my alarm and slept in. And slept in. Broken legs, but I chase perfection. These walls are my blank expression. My mind is a home I'm trapped in, and it's lonely inside this mansion. Inside this mansion.
So this part of my house, no one's been in it for years. I built the safe room and I don't let no one in there. Cause if I do, there's a chance that they might disappear and not come back. And I admit, I am emotionally scared to let anyone inside. So I just leave my doors locked. You might get other doors to open up, but this door's not. Cause I don't want you to have the opportunity to hurt me. And I'll be the only person that I can blame when you desert me. I'm barricaded inside, so stop watching. I'm not coming to the door, so stop knocking. Stop knocking. I'm trapped here. God keeps saying I'm not locked. I chose this. I am lost in my own conscience. I know that shutting the world out ain't solving the problem, but I didn't build this house because I thought it would solve them. I built it because I thought that it was safer in there, but it's not. I'm not the only thing that's living in here. Fear came.
Again, this is coming back to that protective side, that protective voice you might have in your head, or just a protective feeling. He doesn't want to let anyone in because what happens when he has done in the past? Like I said before, he's been abused or let down, or people have left him, abandoned him. Why would anyone want to go through that again? It's better to just not let anyone in the first place. And you don't have the anxiety of them doing something or them leaving you. And that's why he's built this part of his mansion, because he thought he would be safer in there. However, that approach really does shrink your world. Yes, it's arguably less anxiety provoking, but is it truly how one wants to be living their life? And it looks as if NF knows this. You know, he says, I know that shutting the world out ain't solving the problem. And to recover from trauma, there are times when you have to open yourself up, and there's some risk in that. And it feels really unsafe and it feels really vulnerable. And I say all of this as if, you know, someone can just do this, someone, you know, as if it's easy, you know, you just open yourself up. It's not. I mean, I've never directly experienced this, but I've worked with people who have, and I can see how incredibly difficult it is for them. And I have the utmost respect for people who work through this stuff. It's heartbreaking.
But I didn't build this house because I thought it would solve them. I built it because I thought that it was safer in there, but it's not. I'm not the only thing that's living in here. Fear came to my house years ago. I let him in. Maybe that's a problem because I've been dealing with this ever since. I thought that he would leave, but it's obvious he never did. He must have picked a room and got comfortable and settled in. Now I'm in a position it's either sit here and let him win or put him back outside where it came from, but I never can. Cause in order to do that, I'd have to open the doors. Is that me or the fear talking? I don't know anymore.
fear got comfortable and settled in. Was it fear or was it anger? Fear. And this is going back to what I was saying before about trying to keep yourself safe. You know, it shrinks your world, but sometimes you don't notice it at first. It just sort of slowly happens. You do less and less things. You see less and less people. You avoid more and more. And NF has noticed this happening. He says, now I'm in a position. It's either sit here and let him win or put him back outside. And this is such a crucial step for people. Identifying that this is, you know, a thing that happens. And he says he doesn't know if he has it in him to open up the doors to let the fear out. But he doesn't know if that's even him or the fear speaking. And it can be really difficult to pick that apart, because by opening that door, he's opening himself up to the world again. He's opening himself up to all of that risk of something happening to him. He's opening himself up to that vulnerability. And that's a massively scary place for anyone who's been through this. But as the outro is saying, and I think the chorus was saying as well, it's a lonely place inside this mansion. This is one of the best songs I've ever heard that talks about trauma. It's just so real to him, and it's raw, and because it's real and raw, you can hear the emotion behind the words. You can hear how you know, the tone of his voice changes, and the quality of his voice, and the passion with which he's speaking changes. And you can hear the pain. And still, after all these years as a therapist, it hurts me to hear someone else in pain like that, which is probably a good thing, because the day I no longer feel that is probably the day that I start becoming less effective as a therapist, because it means I don't care and I should probably stop working. I can't even imagine what it's like to hear this song if you've been through something similar to NF, and all the reminders that this song must bring with it. Look after yourselves and, you know, keep yourself safe, people. And I also notice there's no official music video, I don't think. We're not on YouTube anyway. Is there a reason for that? Is that by design? Or is there just not a video? Anyway, right. Thanks for that recommendation. Is there an NF rabbit hole to go down here? Probably. Should I? Let me know. I'm also really tempted to go through the back catalogue of songs that I used to listen to before I was a therapist. You know, Eminem obviously jumps out after listening to NF. I'm a little bit out of the loop with newer artists and newer tracks. I'm still pretty much stuck in the 90s, to be honest, but please leave some suggestions, new or old, and I shall check them out. Thanks for watching. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.